Hello everybody and welcome to our first official video on this channel. This is the first time we are trying something like this, so please be kind and keep in mind I don't really know what I'm doing. Also, English is not my first language, so I apologize in advance for all the pronunciations I'm going to massacre here. Board games in real life aren't that visually active event to capture enjoying, but I like to imagine each playthrough as seen from an animated movie, which is basically how these drawings came to be. The reason I decided to do this thing in form of longer video instead of the usual shorts was that I figured the drawings may not make much sense to you if you don't know much about games they're inspired by. So now you will get to listen to me talking about said board games while you watch me draw. Please keep in mind that this video will include minor review of said games as well as some of my personal thoughts about gameplay, but not the rules per se. First off, because I suck at explaining things, and second off, because there are already plenty of content from much more competent people who specialize in analyzing board games, so you should go check them out, especially if you want to try out some of the games we'll be mentioning here. With that out of the way, let's get started. When my friends and I got ourselves into the world of board games, Eldritch Horror was actually the first game we played together. Looking back, that might not have been the best idea at the time. Eldritch Horror falls in the category of relatively complex games with several mechanisms you need to keep in mind if you want to play it correctly. That makes it not only some of the harder games to learn, but also not ideal game to start with if your prior experience with board games was humble to non-existent like ours was. Only setup and learning the rules took us about an hour and a half, and we still managed to accidentally break the rules. On the positive side of playing that game first, we actually got ourselves into a position where literally no other game we played afterward was giving us that much trouble. It's not like they were exactly easy, but they certainly weren't this troubling. Now about the game itself. Eldritch Horror is a horror game set in the world of Lovecraftian horror. It's a cooperative game in which 1 to 8 players take roles of investigators fighting against a certain Ancient One, an elder being from Lovecraftian lore that is about to wake up and destroy the world. For those unfamiliar with that stuff, Lovecraftian horror is also known as cosmic horror and is a subgenre of horror that focuses on the fear of the unknown. Their main protagonist, instead of facing normal bad guys, has to deal with horror of their own existence in context of the universe that we might or might not share with superior intelligent alien beings that may or may not be capable of ending us this very second just by waking up. I'm looking at you as a thought. There are several ancient ones to choose as your final boss. That would include Yig, Cthulhu, and many more. You can boost your characters and equip them with some gear, but for that you need to go on quests. If you're lucky with rolling dice, you will have your skills boosted and items obtained in no time. If, however, you're anything like yours truly, you will probably get injured, poisoned, cursed, in-depth, and end up fighting the Ancient One in worse state that you'd be in if you haven't done anything the whole game. Overall, the game is actually quite fun. It is complex and you will probably spend your first gameplay staring more at the rulebook than the board, but once you get the hang of it, you will certainly enjoy it, regardless of whether or not you're a cosmic horror fan. This drawing is inspired by this meme right here. The reasons why I decided to recreate it are, first, it fits the theme, and second, Deception is a relatively fast game and we played around 6 to 7 rounds in one sitting, so instead of picking one specific round, I decided to draw a more general scene of what was going on there. Anyhow, Deception Murder in Hong Kong, or Deception for short, is a role-playing game where players take roles of investigators attempting to solve a murder. You each get a set of items that just may happen to be clues. You follow the instructions of whoever you pick as Game Master as they reveal to you vital information about the case, like where or when the crime happened or what's the appearance of the victim. Now, there is a little catch. The culprit is among you. If you're an investigator, the items you got are just that, the items. But if you're a culprit, those items are actually evidence from crime scene and weapon you use to make victim kick the habit of living. For investigators to win, they must find out who the culprit was. For culprit to win, they must remain hidden. Groundbreaking, I know. If you want to spice things up a bit, there can be 2 additional roles, that of accomplice and that of a witness. Now, both accomplice and witness actually know who the culprit is, but while accomplice helps the culprits to stay hidden, witness tries to help investigators to capture the right person. However, culprit doesn't know who the witness is, but if they do discover them, it is automatically game over for investigators because, well, something unfortunate happens to witness, if you know what I mean. All in all, the game is quite entertaining. It's fast, easy to learn, although after Eldritch Horror everything is. Maybe we would have played it even more if there wasn't for another, much messier RPG game that we discovered sometime later. Just to let you know from the start, One Night Werewolf is probably one of my favorite board games we discovered last year, so keep in mind I'm a bit biased when it comes to this one. Much like Deception, there are 2 sides. Villagers, whose goal is to find out who is the werewolf, and 1 or 2 werewolves who must remain hidden. However, nobody knows who is who, including yourself. You get your roles assigned to you at the beginning of the game in the form of character cards. Then you turn on the app you need to install in order to play. You close your eyes and listen to instructions that app gives you based on the role you got at the beginning. Each role has its own special ability, and when app tells you to, you activate it. That usually includes messing with other players' cards, peeking at them, switching them around, and so on. As you one by one perform your actions, roles gets mixed up, and once everyone is done, you must decide who at the end is the werewolf and who is the villager. Except now nobody knows who is who, so you need to retrace your steps and convince people not to shoot you once the time runs out. Except you got the role of the tenor, then you want to get shot for whatever reason. Now, it's time for one embarrassing story. There is a villager role called Insomniac. Its special ability is to see its own card once everyone else had their turn. So technically, Insomniac is the only person who should at the end of the game know whether or not his role has changed and to what. That means that person needs to wait till everyone else played their actions, so they kind of spend several minutes sitting still with their eyes closed till everyone is done. When it was my turn to be Insomniac, it was kind of late and I was kind of tired and I zoned out for a second and I accidentally missed my turn. So basically, I've spent next 2 minutes sitting there in silence and let my comrade decide my fate. And that was probably the moment when I've learned that I cannot roleplay to save my life. Literally. Overall, this game is extra fun, extra fast, and extra chaotic. You're probably going to have a lot of fun playing this game, especially if you, well, don't have the attention span like yours truly. That will be all for today. There will be part 2 with 3 more games that I've already spoiled in trailer on YouTube Shorts, so go check it out if you want to be spoiled. If no, you're good. Studio is currently in its experimental phase with these kind of videos, so we are technically still brainstorming what to do afterwards. Since we played a bunch of other board games in the meantime, there might be even more of this stuff in future, but I have to draw those scenes first, so that might take a while. Special thanks to all of our teammates who played this game with us, and also put up with me asking for 100 times should I include drawings with them in the video or not. Thanks for watching, stay alive and well, and see you soon.